Hey, welcome back to the Instagram stories. And today I want to talk to you guys about what is the best medium format camera for people coming from 35 millimeters. So there's not such a thing as the best camera in any sense. Like, depending on where you're coming from, each one will have a different use. Like, I can find a Hasselblad like the best camera for my use, or you can find a rangefinder, or you can find a electronic camera you like that will meter and will give you your readings properly. So I'm gonna give what I think is the best, in my opinion, is always to start with a mechanical camera. A mechanical camera has the good thing that no electronics are implied for the camera to work. So if you run out of, batteries, there's no problem because there's no batteries. That would be, for example, a Hasselblad if you're into 6x6. Another thing is the format. Like, some people don't like having the same film factor from 35. So they want to do a big difference. They want to make a jump and jump to 6x6, which is totally opposite to the 35. It's a total square. Some people want to keep the 2x3 and go into a 6x9. And some people want to save money and go to 645. So I'm going to use this brochure from Mamiya just to give you kind of like the options I would use if I was going to change from 35 to medium format. I recommend that. A mechanical camera, a camera that will give you a way to express yourself that you think is suitable. So choose the format. So depending on what you're coming from, you want to go for square, or you want to go for 6x7, 6x8, 6x9. So yeah, and depending on what you were shooting, a rangefinder or a SLR. If you're shooting rangefinder, you don't have so many options that are not electronic. So basically, I would recommend the Fuji 6x9. That's the GW690 in all their versions. The only problem is you can't change the lens. You'll have a 90 millimeter lens stuck or a 65. There's two versions, the wide and the normal, but it's a whole camera with a lens. And then you can go, for example, the first version of that Fuji did have interchangeable lenses. It's called, I think, GL690. And if you also want to go rangefinder and no electronics, you would go for some old, maybe folder cameras that have the 645, 6x6. But those are harder to find in good shape and usually have something that's special. Either the shutters are old, or has a bellows, or it doesn't have a rangefinder that's coupled, and things like that. Then if you don't mind the electronics, I would say that you can go for the Mamiya 7, which is probably one of the most famous rangefinders that are electronic. Here we have the catalog talking about the Mamiya 7. This is one of the best cameras you can find in 6x7 and rangefinder. So it has interchangeable lenses. It's pretty reliable, even though some people say their electronics end up failing, but you can find bodies pretty much everywhere. Lenses are sharp or sharper than even Hasselblad Zeiss lenses. And yeah, the system's pretty big. You got a ton of lenses and options. So yeah, or also the Mamiya 6, as someone is saying. Mamiya 6 is the same rangefinder as a Mamiya 7, but lenses are, and the camera is a 6x6. I actually have the brochure here for the new Mamiya 6. So yeah, if you want electronics, this is a great camera. The Mamiya 7 is also a great camera to choose from. And if you want something that's actually many times like not contemplated, is the Bronica RF 645. You have a great article on Japan's camera hunter, Bellamy Hunt, has an article on the Bronica RF 645. It was the last rangefinder camera to be announced before basically digital came in and no one made cameras again. So that's a great camera. And if you want to shoot 645, the 645 problem is you're going to have it always in portrait mode. So if you want to shoot landscape, you're going to have to turn the camera. It's pretty noisy as a camera. I had it and it just makes like this robot noise every time you shoot. So it's not the best to be like, disguised and shoot around the street or shoot, with people that you want people to notice. And then you always have the Fuji GF670, which was discontinued by Fuji. It was a Voigtlander camera, also 6x6 and 6x7, but you have to choose at the beginning of the roll. So it's not that easy to choose, what you want to shoot. And that was just actually found on Fujifilm. I don't know if it's the US or the Japan headquarters found some stock, new old stock, and they're sending it to B&H. It's going to be sold new for $1,999. So if you guys want to buy brand new, that's the place to get it. It has a meter. I don't know. I don't think the camera will stop working if it doesn't have batteries, but probably it does use the batteries to move the shutter. So it is electronic. I bought 2 of them, not for me, but for a friend, and both of them failed. So I don't have my hopes high with those cameras. So yeah, I recommend if you're going, if you're shooting 35 rangefinder like a Leica, go for a rangefinder in medium format. Just choose the format, choose the electronics or no electronics, interchangeable lens or no interchangeable lens, and there's many options. All the rangefinder medium format cameras are all good cameras. So don't think there's like a lemon out there. There's cameras that are bad like in 35. Medium format was always a premium cameras, and usually except for the lomography things, which are different market, I would say they're all very good. Even the Yashica Mat and all those cheap cameras that are today are 80 bucks are really good. So yeah, that's for rangefinders. If you're coming from an SLR camera and you don't want to have to work your way through to learn the new system and stuff, the best camera that's just a huge SLR is the Pentax 6x7, but it does have electronics, so no battery, no camera. Also, someone's saying, yeah, the Zeiss or the Russian Moskva folders are great, no electronics. It's a 6x9, but they are picky at setting the rangefinder. I know one can do it in themselves, but you use it for 3-4 rolls and you have to readjust. So it is a good option, but make sure they're working. Yeah, the Contax 645. I'm not a big fan of the 645 because of what I was saying, the electronics. So you be careful, those cameras fail, and then that's just a paperweight. And nowadays there's $3,000, $4,000. I remember seeing them for $1,000 and people were not buying them. So now the wedding people love them and they're in high demand. But yeah, so I was talking about SLRs. SLRs that look like a 35 but on steroids is the Pentax 6x7, and there's the Norita, I don't know what the name of the Norita is, the 6.6 I think. It has an 80 f2, which is a great lens, and if you find them in good shape and cheap, I would suggest you get them. If not, go to the Pentax way. But if you're sticking to no electronics, you have some of the Mamiya 645s, which are great. The Super, it has electronics, but the previous one, the 1000S, and the Bronicas, the old ones, are pretty good. Pentax has some cameras that don't, they're basically SLRs and they're 645. You can use them up to your eye with a pentaprism. You can also use the viewfinder. Basically, let me show you on a catalog. I don't know if it's here. It's gonna be here. Okay, so 645. This is the out of focus and the most modern version, but basically they've stayed the same. If you want to shoot 645 SLR and it looks like you're shooting a modern camera, this is the closest you're gonna get. If you want it without electronics, it's not that easy. Some of the old Mamiyas do have it, and they have the 80 1.9, like this, totally modular, great camera, cheap cameras. You got the body, you got the lens, you have the grip, which you can change it for a little wheel. You have the backs, which you can change depending on different emotions. And the viewfinder, you can use a pentaprism or probably, let me check it out. It has a viewfinder, like a little chimney. So yeah, that's what I recommend, you know, if you're going 645. Another thing that you can use for 645 is Hasselblad. Most people think Hasselblads are 6x6 cameras, but you can put a back that's called A16 that does 6x45 shots. So yeah, it's a great way, no electronics. Hasselblads are readily available everywhere. You can buy them easily and they're not that expensive compared to what they were when they were new. So I highly recommend you guys check it out. If you want to shoot 645 and 6x6 and change film, Hasselblad's a great option too. Mamiya never had a 6x6 Hasselblad style, but you do have the Bronica SQ, you have the Bronica, which are the other ones? The S2 and the S2A, which are also great options for a cheaper version of a Hasselblad, and the lenses are great. They were made by Nikon. back in the day, and they're basically amazing. So yeah, the problem with that is that what I was saying is the best won't always be the best for you. What I think is the best might not be the best for you. What you think is the best won't be the best for me. So yeah, I personally shoot with a Mamiya RZ67 as a SLR camera. I love the whole changing formats from 6x7 portrait to landscape. The lenses are great. The bellows allow you to do macro or get close up, not like Hasselblad, which there's a whole chapter in this book for getting close up. So yeah, that's not that easy. And then you got the TLR, but that's something that's so different to any 35. That's like a new world. It's a great way to shoot too. You can shoot from your hip looking down. People don't think you're shooting. And I mean, you got the Rolleiflex that are really famous and expensive sometimes. You got the Yashica, which are great cameras, or you have the Mamiya, which has interchangeable lenses. So you got the best of both worlds. You got a TLR, it has bellows, and you can change lenses. Sorry, I have a Mamiya 7. I'm not into electronic film cameras, but the Contax is another thing. Yeah, the Contax is another thing, but it's just those electronics, you gotta be careful. I mean, we're talking about 20-year-old cameras, and time goes by, and if that does go wrong, there's not a lot of people that can fix them. So I try to stay away from electronics, even though the RZ. So if you want an RZ, but you don't want electronics, Mamiya made the RB, which is all manual, and it's huge, but it works great. You have it here, the RB67. These lenses will mount on an RZ. The RZ won't mount on these because these shoot from the lens, not from the body. So there's no electronics. The pentaprism is also interchangeable. The backs with an adapter, you can use these on the RZ, but they're great cheap cameras. These sell for like 250 bucks. Usually, like, they're beat up, but they usually work great. And I highly recommend if you really want to get into medium format and you like the whole Hasselblad look, but you don't want to spend $1,000, get this camera, and you will save on gym because you won't have to pick up any more heavy weight. But this camera, 2 lenses. Lenses are cheap. The backs are cheap. The body's great. If something breaks, you can change it. The prisms are great. You have the waist level finder too. So yeah, if you want to get in cheap, this or Bronica are, to me, some of the best options out there for SLR style cameras. And basically that's what I had to say in this shortest video about medium format and from beginners. That my recommendation is mechanical because you'll learn the basics of metering with an external meter or Sunny 16. You'll learn how to focus without any out of focus. You'll learn how to load your film, instead of having electronic loading or anything like that. You just do it yourself. You got a feel for the pictures. And they don't go obsolete in the sense that if something breaks, you can fix it most of the times. And yeah, so that's what I recommend. And the Pentax is a great option. It does have the battery and they do kind of fail sometimes, but they're cheap enough to find. But yeah, I recommend you get like a SLR style body and you shoot around the Mamiya RB, a Hasselblad if you can find it. The Rolleiflex SL66 is a great camera, but they tend to break. I've had 2 and one broke and the other one I sold, and then I think it might have broken after that. So yeah, that's all for today. If you guys have any other questions or suggestions for videos, remember to leave a comment below either on my Instagram or on my YouTube, and I'll write it down on the list, and when the subject comes in, I'll post it on my Instagram story so you guys can catch up either online, the Instagram, or on the YouTube later. So no one, loses the opportunity to at least hear my opinion. I'm not saying it's a great opinion, but it's what I think is best for me and best for other people. Well, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.